A little over 10 years ago, I was taking a walk in the woods next to a stream and praying pretty hard. Suddenly, I saw something that just stopped me cold. Right next to the stream, there was a old tree that had fallen and a root ball had been torn up. And it was smooth with the water. And in the middle of that root ball was an eye, like a 2-foot eye, just hanging out and looking at me, essentially. And the roots wrapped around the top of this eye like a brow, and it wrapped around the bottom like it was a cheekbone. And it stopped me cold because it was so unusual. But the minute my eyes laid on it, something else stopped me. Because I felt the voice of God just speaking to my spirit suddenly saying, I see you. We'll get into how that felt, but that wasn't it. I sketched that eye real quick in my journal, a little pocket journal I had, and very quickly I wrapped up because I had to be somewhere. And as I was walking out of that forest, something else came to mind. As I was walking out of that riverbank, I got a vision, or not a vision, but a picture came to mind out of nowhere. It wasn't anything I was thinking about, of a wolf stepping out of the woods, just nonchalant walking out of the woods. I didn't know what that meant, but it felt like it was from God too. I really didn't know how to interpret it, but I knew something was about to change. I'm going to climb over these branches and deadfall here so I can keep going on my walk. If I fall, call the police. Not the police, ambulance, I guess. Of course, the dog gets over it with no problems. There we go. So I've never liked to think of myself as a man's man, as a guy's guy. I had problems with that. Maybe it was some bad experiences, I don't know. But, I've been learning to embrace that more lately. But I was always the kid who was more interested in the arts than the sports. I was always the kid who was into theater more than, let's be honest, everybody loves a good action movie. But I was always into the theater more than going to a football game or watching it on TV for sure. Didn't like that at all. And I wasn't really the bold action taker. I was the careful, think it through, perfectionist type. And so as I was thinking through this time at the river, well, let me get to it. It wasn't a random river, and it wasn't a random thing I had to be at. I was on, we're having fun here. I was on a men's retreat, specifically a Wild at Heart men's retreat. If you don't know the book Wild at Heart by John Eldredge, it kind of took the Christian men's world by storm back in the early 2000s. And you'd get these guys going on retreats to explore what God wanted for them as men. And I'll tell you what, that taught me a lot. And John Eldredge spoke to both sides of me. He spoke to the intellectual, he spoke to the philosophical, the spiritual guy, but also the practical guy. And he was calling out and drawing out this interest in the outdoors that I didn't have access to as usually a city boy, till I moved to Idaho. That's been interesting. That's definitely drawn it out, as you can see, walking through these woods. So the timing was also interesting because as I was preparing for this, as I was going through that walk along the riverbank, about to go back into the next section here, I was just about finished with the first draft of my first book. So it was a big time in my life. It was Also, recently, although I don't think I knew it at the time, about to become a father. Either that or my wife was a few months pregnant. But big time in my life. So God shows me this eye. And this is not safe to walk through with a camera, so I'm going to have a seat. God shows me this eye. And like I said, it's a root ball. It's absolutely beautiful because it's been polished by the river over time. You can't get through either, can you, dog? It's been polished by the river over time. And I'm going to just have a seat on this log in this deadfall so I can talk to you and figure out where to put my stuff. There goes the water. Polished by the water so that it's this beautiful weathered pine on this root ball. And literally, it's a 2-foot wide eye shape, and it's a perfect eye shape. As an artist, you see these things, and it looks like, the old man of the woods almost. But in that moment, God spoke directly down to me as I was searching for purpose, meaning, this calling to write. And he said, I see you. It's so clear. It wasn't the first time I've heard God speak like that, but it caught my attention, obviously. And man, that confirmation that God sees and cares is always a powerful thing. But he didn't just leave it there. He didn't say, I see you in the sense of the way people say it now, kind of in the political, cultural landscape of, oh, I see you. It was deeper than that. And it was playful too. It was like peekaboo almost with this giant log thing. And so like I said, I sketched it, wanted to remember that. I wrote down what I had experienced, and I felt really good. Like, okay, God's in this. And that gave me confidence that there would be further answers, which made it confusing when really just a few minutes later, I walk out of the forest. And as I'm walking out, there's this other, whoop, camera lost me. So this other image comes to mind, and it's out of nowhere. I'm just thinking about getting to the next thing. And I'm thanking God for seeing me, for being caring. And all of a sudden, this wolf comes to mind. And it's like a video image. I'm sure Sora could create something amazing. But this wolf is just trotting out of the woods, not a care in the world, master of his domain, calm, confident, knows he's not in danger from anything, knows he is not threatened by anything he's going to face. And he's leaving the woods. And like I said, I knew, bees love me out here. I knew that this probably meant God was doing something. God was going to have something new and change. But what I didn't know was what it meant. And so I was praying about it. I was journaling about it. And that night, as I was working through the day's thoughts and the processes, I thought about this, I journaled about it, and I asked God what it meant. And the best answer I got was, I am bringing your boldness out of you. Because remember, I was the kid who hung back. I mean, if it was like theatrical, sure, I'll jump up there and make a fool of myself. That's not bold. That's fun. If it was, writing, sure, I'll write something silly, and that's not bold. That's fun. But the boldness to speak the truth, the boldness to share the story he gave me, the boldness to be a man, to be strong and confident and speak courageously about things that matter, not just what's fun, not just silly stories or adventure stories, but things that really mean something and are deeper. And so I'm going to switch hands here. I am confused about how this works. Camera. All right. So like I said, I was almost done with my first book. So the next day, John Eldredge is speaking from the stage, talking about being a man, talking about the men we admire. And there was an opportunity to go up and just have him pray for you. And I admire this guy. So sure, I'll take an opportunity for prayer. Don't know what he's going to pray. Before he prayed, I took one step of faith and I said, hey, your books have inspired me. They've drawn something out of me. And as a step towards that, I feel like God wants me to be more bold. So I just finished my own first book, or I'm about to. When it's ready, can I send it to you? I said, I don't care if you read it. I just want to have this piece of accountability where I can say, I sent it to you. And he said, yeah, sure. Send it to the office. Now, I wish that John Eldredge had read the book and gotten back to me and told me he liked it. I don't know whether he ever did. I don't know whether he ever got it. But I followed through on my part. I sent the book to his office. And I got an email back saying, hey, John's super busy. He probably won't be able to read this, which I understood. But I did my part. I was bold to somebody who I looked up to. And I boldly finished. And I think that was at least part of what God has been doing with that wolf image. It's been about 10 years. Oh, camera's confused again. Been about 10 years. And I published that book after a while. Published another one. But it's been a while since I published the next one. And the boldness has been a growing process. It's been something I've been trying to continue to build in different arenas of life. Because that's what God calls us to. The picture of a biblical man is a bold man. David, who was a man after God's own heart. Yeah, he played the harp and made beautiful poetry, but the dude killed giants and attacked cities in the most insane ways possible. He led men. He led rough men. And he led them towards faith. Jesus himself was not this, milquetoast pansy that they typically show on TV. He also wasn't the kind of easy laughing joker guy. At least that's not all he was, that you kind of see on The Chosen, which I at least appreciate that they're going a different direction with The Chosen than the typical movie presentation. He wasn't just a good teacher. He wasn't just a nice guy. Jesus went into places where they wanted to kill him and insulted the people that wanted to kill him because it was the truth. Jesus told people things that they didn't want to hear so that they would stop following him. That's the kind of boldness that is a biblical man. It's the reason why C.S. Lewis characterized Aslan as, well, no, he's not a tame lion, but he's good. So that's what I'm called out to, is to be bold for good and true and beautiful. As much as I can, with as many possibilities as I can. That's where I'm at. How about you? Is God asking you to step out? Or are you just feeling it in your own spirit? If you're not a spiritual guy, if you're not a religious guy, is it in your own spirit that you need to step out? What's stopping you? Are you afraid of something? Is there one thing you could do this week to get you closer? Maybe. Maybe you just need to turn off the screen. As much as I appreciate you watching, maybe you just need to turn off the screen and ask. Pray about it. What's one thing you can do now? What's God got you for you next? And you need to step out in courage. And then maybe come back. All right. Me and the dog are going to say goodbye, but I want to pray for you first. Lord, you call men to boldness and courage. You say cowards won't enter your kingdom. And so, Lord, I pray for all the men who hear this, all the women who hear it too, potentially, I don't know, that they step out with boldness. I pray that they listen to your voice, listen to your leading, and do good things with courage. Amen. That's all I got for this walk. God bless.